Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Syracuse, New York. I'm 50 years old. I moved to California in the 90s. I work for a labor union, National Treasury Employees. I'm a lawyer by trade. I do arbitration cases mostly for the union. My wife and I my wife has a daughter, so I have a stepdaughter. We don't have any children, her and I together. But we've been married since 2004. I got married late in life when I was 37. Well, I can give you some more background. I graduated from high school in 1983. I went to a community college. I got a 2-year degree from the community college. My mom and dad, my father was you remember the Hostess trucks? And the Wonder Bread trucks? My dad used to drive the Wonder Bread and Hostess trucks. And the way it was he would drive the Wonder Bread truck for a couple of years, and then he'd switch to Hostess. And of course, you know, when you're driving a Hostess truck, you bring home the Suzy Q's and the Twinkies, right? And after a while, my mother would say, you know, you need to go back to the bread because I'm eating too much sugar. So my dad was a Teamster. I grew up in a union household. And my father always said to me, you know, you really should get involved with the union. And I believed from the time that I was a little kid that unions were good because my father was a Teamster. My mom worked in the school district. She held various jobs, and she raised 3 children. I have a sister who lives in Syracuse still, and I had a brother who passed away in 1992 of leukemia. Talk a little bit about that if there's a question about health care, because my family obviously went through quite a trying experience when my brother died. But there is a story there, so I'll talk a little bit about that. Anyway, I said I went to community college. After I left community college, I went to a 4-year school, the State University of New York College of Oswego, which is located in northern New York State. And I got my 4-year degree there. Following that, I moved to Northeast Ohio, where I went to law school, the University of Akron School of Law. I was the Student Bar Association president my 3rd year at the University of Akron. I earned my JD there. And then after that, I went out trying to find a job. I had a hard time finding a job, so I thought, because I wanted to work for a labor union, that I would enhance my educational background. And so I went to Georgetown University in DC, where I earned a legal master's degree, which is also known as an LLM, in labor and employment law. Most LLMs are in tax law, but mine was in labor and employment. And when I was there at Georgetown, I met a professor who introduced me to a chief of negotiations at the time of the National Treasury Employees Union, which is a federal sector union that represents federal employees. And this was in 1996. I interviewed and I got the job. I started working for NTEU in Washington, D.C., and I was there in the winter of 1996. Was anybody in Washington in the winter of 1996? You guys were? You weren't? You remember how bad the snow was that year? So picture this. I'm in my office in D.C. There's a lot of snow on the ground. I grew up in Syracuse, New York, so there was a lot of snow there too. My boss walked in one time and he said to me, "Do you want to go to California?" And I said to him, "What time's the plane leave?" And so I transferred from D.C. out to Oakland, which is where our office is. I'm in California. And then I moved down here to Southern California, and I've been here ever since. As I said, I've been with NTEU my whole career. And I will say this, I love my job. I'm very fortunate to have my job. I think I have one of the best jobs ever. I wouldn't leave my job for any other job other than being a member of Congress. And so that's why I'm running. Well, that's not why I'm running, but I wouldn't leave the job. I love it. And I've been with them ever since. So essentially what I do is I do arbitration cases and I do negotiations on behalf of the union, and I also do instruction. So those are the 3 things I do. I'm a litigator at heart. What else about me? I love baseball. I'm a big baseball fan. I like the Cleveland Indians and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I'm a bowler. I enjoy bowling. I actually have my PBA card, so I like to bowl. Recently I've taken up golf with my friend Meg in the back and my friend Terry over here. I'm not a good golfer, but I enjoy it. So that's a little bit about my background. Any follow-up on that?
What's your highest score?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I have my PBA card, but I've never shot a 300. I've shot 2 298 games. As a matter of fact, my first 298 game was May 13th, 2001. And it happened, I think it was at 7:13. So I can tell you exact day, the exact year, and the exact time. And it wasn't a bad shot. I wasn't nervous when I let go of that last ball. It just went a little high, and I left the 210.
If you get elected, will you leave your position?
Yes, yeah. Being in Congress is a full-time job, so I will leave the job. I'll miss it. We have a headquarters in D.C., so I'll still see folks there, but yeah. Okay, sir.
All right, Tim, this is anonymous, but I'm sure this is the question you ask yourself every day. Why do you want to be in Congress?
That's a great question. Why do I want to be in Congress? You know that story about Ted Kennedy in the 1980 presidential race when they asked him, why do you want to be president? He couldn't answer that question. Does anybody remember that? Some people? Yes? Yeah, you remember, John. No. The reason why I'm running for Congress is because I think that being in the House of Representatives is one of the highest callings anybody could have. Because ultimately, a member of the House of Representatives is the closest person to the people from the federal government. And I think that a member of the House of Representatives has to pay attention and interact on a regular basis with the public. And when the redistricting happened after 2010, Mr. Calvert became my congressman. And I saw that, frankly, he just didn't get involved with anything. If you want to go meet him, you can go to a $1,000 a plate dinner, or you can give him a $5,000 check. But just coming out to a town hall meeting, he just doesn't do that. And I thought, geez, I can do better than that. And I think that the people of the 42nd District deserve it. And so what I did is I got together with people that I had gotten to know through our party, Democratic Party in Southwest Riverside County. And I took them out to lunch, and I sat down with them. Suji remembers that. I took her out, and I said to them, I want to run for Congress, and I need your help. Will you help me? And sure enough, they came, and they agreed to do so. And we put together a very good team to run in that 2014 race. As a matter of fact, I think we put together the best team, which is why I finished second in the race. And they believed in me throughout that campaign, and they believe in me through this campaign. And so that's why I'm running. I just think that it's time we send somebody to D.C. who is an average guy. I'm an average guy, and I'm willing to stand up on your behalf, both in Washington and in front of you. And that's why I'm running.